So hello guys, welcome to my first video made for the new year in my new home. Now I've just been building stage 51, the Sono channel ASA20 and switch panel, and I've learnt a lesson today. Well, it's not a new lesson, but it's reiterated a lesson that I already knew, and maybe fate has just taught me, has just dealt me a reminder. Sometimes parts look very easy to build, but they actually just have a little bit of a sting in the tail. What you need to do if you do struggle, stop, walk away, have a bit of a break, then come back to it with a fresh mind. Don't know what I mean? Have a look at this. So first of all, please excuse any mess that you do see along the way. I am still in the process of moving in. However, I do still want to try and get some videos out, if only just to keep my sanity. So as always, let's go through the parts check. So we begin with part A, which is this Sono channel ASA20. And as you can see, there's some beautiful detail there. Part B is a flatter piece. This is called the Sono channel ASA20 base, and as you can see, that's, well, it's, you can't see it's plastic, but you can see it's nice and plain compared to the previous piece. Piece 3 is the switch panel bracket MSC piece stroke end 10A through 12C closed brackets, and again some really nice detail there. And then we have, now the next 3 pieces I'm going to deal with together because they look the same but they're just different lengths. So we first of all we have 51D flex tube 1, and this is sort of a, doesn't feel like it's rubber, it feels like a rubbery flexible material, but it doesn't feel like the rubber that I know of. And then we have E is flex tube 2, and then we have flex tube 3, and as you can see they're all the same except that they're different lengths, and we do get 2 of each. So I'm going to keep these in the packaging actually. And then we have a cable tie. Now we have 2 cable ties, yes, it does say we need 2, so obviously we need a good pair of scissors as well. And then we finish this off with BP screws, 1.5 by 4mm, and there should be 10 in there plus 3 spares, so I'm expecting 13 in there. So let's have a look, switch to my disorganized table. So stage 1, fitting parts of the workstation. Begin by taking the Sono channel 51A and placing on top of its base 51B. Secure these parts together using 2 BP screws. So looking at this, I can see that there's an open side and a closed side, and there is, as you can see, this piece is shorter than the base, and according to the magazine we want it this way round. So we've got 2 screw holes there and there. They will go in like so. It's hard to tell which way round this goes. There's no locating pegs. So I believe, yes. So I think this needs to go down so that these protruding parts go downwards. And then that will give us the opportunity to screw it into something later. And so you're looking at that hole, and that locating peg there. And bear with me one sec, I just want to, right, so what we will be doing is screwing this into here, so which I will just explain in a moment. And I can see that those protrusions, yes, will fit into there. So let me explain that one a bit later on. So trust me, this flat piece wants to be flat at the top with the protruding, I'm going to call them screw holes, underneath, and with using the locating tab you can tell where that's going to go. So you've got this little notch there, and we're going to secure that in with 2 BP screws, and let me get those ready. This is quite a large stage. There's 3 pictures, and that's no good. Oh, this is me very disorganized today, isn't it? I'm thinking of making a list of what screwdriver bits we use for each particular screw, and then what I can then do is when I see a particular screw I can just go straight for the bit, bang, bosh, in it goes. So I've been a bit naughty and I've just screwed that screw in a little bit too much. Normally I screw them in just so that they bite. So that's the first 2 screws in, that's what we end up with. Not sure about the black screws, but that's the way it is. So next we take the assembled pieces and place them on top of the driver's side rear workstation, which is this piece, if you remember this from previous issue, and fixing with 2 BP screws. So this is going to go here, and I notice that there's a locating tab there which will go there, and there's a hole there, so let's pop that in. And as a point of reference, let's try and put this in the wrong way. No, it's not going to go in, look. So there is only one way you can place that, and the correct way is with this little gap to the right or the left, depending on which way you look at it. So if looking at it from behind the seat, it's going to go to the right. So we'll screw this in, and this time I will only do it enough to bite, because let's do it properly, shall we? Right, be very careful here, because it looks like these screws aren't going to take much to damage. There we go. And already a splash of colour. Doesn't that make a difference? Just that one piece. So finally fasten the switch panel 51C to the top of the driver's side workstation and fix with 6 BP screws. So this is going to go here, and as you can see, the reason for the shape is to fit around the seat. So you can now see, without even thinking about it, which way round this is going to go. And there are locating tabs, sorry, there is a locating tab to help you, and that's going in there. And let me just turn this around so it matches the orientation in the magazine. I can see that there's a screw hole there, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and they will leave 2 holes there, which I guess we can assume will come into play later. So let me just pop 6 screws down. Now as you can see, this piece is falling off quite easily, so what I'm going to therefore do is I'm going to just pop the 2 end screw, two corner screws in, just enough to bite. There we go, there's one, and then we'll pop this one there, and you see there's 2 holes there, but it's that smaller one. We'll pop that in there, right, and then that way I can do whatever I want with this, and those parts aren't going to fall out. Alternatively, I've just discovered if you pull the seat out, it will then stand upright. So there's 1, 2 screw, well, 1, 2. Yeah, be very careful with these screws. We always say about how plastic screws, you don't want to over tighten them. There is a very, very fine line between not quite screwing these in enough and stripping the threads. So as you screw it in, I can just start to feel resistance there, and I'll stop. So this is bolted in with 6 screws, which I think you'll find is more than enough, and there's no movement there. So yeah, don't know if it was just mine, but there isn't. It just feels like those screws are just about to over tighten, so be very, very careful. Right, so next is, and now I'm going to go back to my flexi tubes. This is something that I often do. With this magazine, obviously it tells us the parts and the part names, but when we actually come to build, they tell us the numbers, and it's quite easy to get confused. So what I want to do, and I should have done this before, D, E, just so that I know which is which. I'm just writing a mark. That D didn't come out very well, but I know it's a D because it doesn't look anything like the E and the F. So now when it references D, E, whatever, I know exactly which one we want. So we now want, moving it this way, fit the 2 flex tubes 1, parts 51D, to the driver's side rear workstation and switch panel as shown. So the A is the short one, sorry, the D, so that is going right. That's why we had 2 holes left over, so I'm going to push that into there like so. In fact, I'm going to push both of them in, and then we can work from there. So doo-doo, nanu, nanu, take me to your leader. Sorry, don't know if that was funny or not. It was in my head. Right. So this particular one doesn't, there we go. So these do actually seem to go all the way through. You see that there's a little thicker nobule at the end. So put them in and give them a twist until they fall through, or in this case push all the way in. There we go. So let's bring this one down and across. I think this is going to be a case of playing with it and then seeing how we get on. And this one, I think, sorry guys, I'm going to have a closer look at the magazine. Yes, so this shorter one is going to here, and I think these wires are going to need some training, as you can see. That's interesting. This really is interesting. So we've got all of these connectors all over the place. So it would appear to me, unless I've done something wrong, this one is way too long. Unless perhaps I can thread it through. Right, okay, I am struggling, guys. I'm not actually struggling. What my issue here is, that just seems very, very long. What I'd like to do is pull this one all the way through. You can see that you can see from the inside of this, that's not going to be seen. Okay, let's keep that as it is for now. We can always sort things out later on, unless actually because I noticed this one didn't want to stay in very well. Ah, now they're all falling out. I'm not happy with this. Really am not happy. That one seems fine. And then this one just seemed way too long, as you can see from there. Right, okay, I'm going to leave it like that because, you know, I've said this in the past, we don't know what's happening later, and there's always the opportunity later on to tidy. So next, fit one end of both of the flex tubes F to the driver's side rear workstation so that the, oh hang on, I missed a bit out. Then fit the two flex tubes E as shown in part B. Next fit one, right, so these are going where? They're going into these two holes there, which are quite tricky to see. Right, it looks like these are going into these two holes there. Now, these two, or this one, has fallen straight through that hole, which is actually what I wanted the first one to do. Right, I'm going to start again. So, these are the short ones. So, I am so sorry about this, guys. So this one, which is going there, that's not going any further than there. There's actually a stopper there, and I am struggling with that, so I'm wondering whether to glue it in there. This one is going, make sure I've got the right one. I'm wondering actually if I'm doing a better thing here by working it backwards. Right, this kind of makes a little bit more sense. I think what I've just done, maybe the first time I didn't quite wrap them round properly. Right, sorry guys. You know when you have an issue and you think, oh, that looks simple enough, we just bang that in there, bang that in there, and it will be done. And with this issue, it's actually not that easy. So yeah, I'm not happy with those. They do seem a little bit long, but there we go. So let's pop these two in. Now I noticed on the other one, this one, it has an end. We don't have a stopper on the end, whereas this one does. So I wonder if maybe that's a defective part, but it certainly made life a bit easier for me. Please excuse me, my phone has just gone off because I'm living at a different address now. I used to have, it used to pick up when I was on my home network, and it would automatically go silent because my phone doesn't think I'm on my home network because I've moved house. There we go. Right, I really don't, do you know what, I'm just not going to worry about it. Right, because we've got cable tie, haven't we? But this one has slipped through. You see how that's gone all the way through, which obviously is going to make things neater. Right, so the last ones are going in, and these will be going in. Why have I... oh yeah. Right. So these ones are going in here. And here. Oh. And these will try to come off here, and as you can see, it's a big mess. Right, so guys, I think these are possibly too long, which means that I can't build any further. Well, I can build any further. The next stage is to cable tie these two wires together like so. But obviously that looks quite messy, and then these two are going to fall off. As you can see, they're all falling off. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to cut the camera, I'm going to pull these cables off, and I'm going to glue them in one end, and I'm going to cut the end off the other end so that I can pull them through tighter. Then I will cable tie them, and then hopefully we should get a nice little array of wires which will look something like this, obviously with a couple more in, and then hopefully they'll be arranged properly. I want them to, they don't have to be OCD neat, but I want to make them look like they've been arranged with some care. Enjoy the montage. Okay, so I've been doing a little bit of fiddling. It turns out I don't need to cut and glue and this, that and the other. It just turns out I've done it wrong in the first place. So this hole there, it is a hole, and I've actually managed to push the wire all the way through. Unfortunately now I can't get it out, so I can't show you how I've done it, but that goes into that hole there, and this hole there is just a plug. So it's a case of doing things in funny orders. So you need to reserve that hole there. This is cable D, by the way. This is the shortest one. Now this hole here is a hole, so what we need to do is push that all the way through, and that's why there's a little plug on the end. Now it is difficult to do, and the only way to do it really is with perseverance, and you just have to keep doing it. If you've got a good pair of tweezers, that will help. So there we go, that's in. So now that we've got this one in, the first one is going to wrap itself around it. Don't worry, this will all get neatened up later on. And then that needs to go, the first one needs to go into the plug. In fact, let's put the first one into the plug, and that will hold quite nice, funnily enough, but you do need to push it right in, and it goes down quite far. So the second wire, we're going to tuck that underneath like so. Then we're going to bring the first one down so that it follows that little channel, and what that enables us to do is just pull this cable just so it's a little bit tighter. And can you see how much neater that looks? So this one now comes on the top, and that's going to go on top and follow along the channel there. So you see you've got one on top of the other, and that will plug into this hole, but it needs to pull this cable out a little bit. So let's pull some of this there, and this one will go all the way through as well. So once we've got a little bit through, we can grab it with our tweezers. If we've got enough, you will need good tweezers for these. You need tweezers that really will grip. And it is still going to be fiddly, even with good tools. There we go. So, when you now pull these a bit tighter, why has that gone underneath? There we go. So we need to pull the first one down like so, and then we'll just tighten that by pulling this a little bit. Don't worry, this will get fixed in place with the cable tie. Then we pull this second one down to follow the same line, and just pull these down a little bit. Look at that. Isn't that so much better? So once you figure out that they can go through, you see how we've got a little bit of slack there. I think this is going to get covered up. So then the medium ones, these are both going to go through the hole, but this one, I think this is actually a damaged part, because if you look, I've got a little nubule on the end, and I've got a nubule, or a widening on both ends. And this one, which is the same part number, has only got one on one end. It's very small. I don't think it's going to be a problem for me, because I can see that, bear with me, these are going to go into there, and you see it will stay in. So let's get these two parts in. So that one will go easy because I didn't put the nubule through. So pushing that through using tweezers, gripping it rather tight and pulling it through, and then we need to put these two, let's run these along the side. 1, 2, and then one can go into there. This is going to be the top one. Sorry if you can't see what I'm doing. And that one. Now, I'm wondering if it might just be worth masking taping those down just until we are ready, because as you can see, if you pull them up, in fact actually I'm going to leave them. So now I did try to push these through with a cocktail stick, apply a pushing force rather than the pulling force. However, it was looking like it was in danger of damaging the cable on the top, so I'm not going to advise that. I'm enjoying this. So, well, I enjoy when things don't go smoothly. I do enjoy the puzzle, but now that I've figured this puzzle out, I am so much happier. Right, there's the first one through, and then this is the second one. I have to be careful because with this end being damaged, I don't know if it is damaged, I don't know if it's meant to be that, but you've got these little stoppers on the end. The parts are labelled as being identical, because as you all know, if you get two parts that are same or look the same but there's a very slight difference, they will label the parts separately. So I would suggest that it is broken, but it's not broken, damaged to the point that it's unusable. Right, so there's the two wires in. So what I'm going to do now is just shortening them a little bit on each side until we get to the length that we require, and there it is. So I'm going to hold that with my thumb, and then I can just pull this through. I don't think I want to pull it too tight. I don't think this is meant to be tight. I think it's just meant to be not loose, if that makes any sense whatsoever. That there. There you go, that's looking so much better, isn't it? So that just leaves the last cables, which is this one there, which is a little bit difficult to get to. So, and that's going to be really difficult. So I'm going to just give myself a little bit more room there. I can always spend some time doing some final adjustment. At least we know what we're doing now, don't we? So right, my only fear now is we had one that was a plug, and I might just push that one through with a cocktail stick. You just, the only real, see, I don't know if you can see that little, that's all we've got to work with, is that tiny bit there. So we have to keep pushing through until we've got enough to grip with the tweezers. And if we can just grip the end, we may squash the end, but that gives us a little bit of a tab to pull. Right, okay. I'm not going to push that any further. I think that's in okay. So, there we go. And there's the second one. Right. So, these are going to go across here, and they're going to hang out the front. So, what we need to do now is grab these cable ties. Now, cable ties, I've always found I have to really think about them, because by the time you've cable tied them and then clipped the end off, you've put the end in a place where it's on show too much. So when you cable tie, let me work this one out. Right, you actually have to work to show off the good end, if that makes sense. What's going to happen is that this will go through there like that, and you think, oh, the ugly end is going to be on show. But by the time you've brought that round, can you see that ugly end is now under this side? And I personally think you need, imagine that as an arrow, you need that pointing away from you. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this in one end here, and I can't see why we can't use these gaps, because the second one is going there. So now here's what I'm going to do. We know these wires are going in across there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place that cable tie in like so. I've now hit the point of no return. I can't loosen that, but if you notice, I've not fully tightened the cable tie up. You can go as far in as you want, but I wouldn't go any further than that. Let me explain in a moment. Then we get the second cable tie pointing downwards away from you. That's going to go in there. Obviously make sure you've got all of the cables. And Why does that cable tie not want to go in? Interesting. There we go. So this is why I've not fully tightened the cable ties. We need to now arrange these wires properly. So do I think that's neat? Yes, I think that's neat. So what I now want to do is hold those wires down, then, and I'm sorry, I'm going to do this off camera because I'm not really doing it off camera, but right, I need a third hand. I see I'm holding a hand there. I then need to grip this bit, and then I need to pull that bit. What I need to do is place that bit there into my teeth to just grip it. So bear with me. Don't know if you heard that, but all I did was I just gripped this end with my teeth. It just gave me something to hold on to. Right, so that's the first end, and I've still not done it fully tight because I want to be able to just maneuver that round. So now we've got this wire in, we want to just smooth these wires down a bit, and now we can do the same with this. So forgive me using the teeth. Right, so that's tighter, but not as tight as I can get it. Right, so now am I happy with that? I think I am. That looks nice and neat now, doesn't it? And quite organized. It doesn't look OCD neat, and obviously if you're anything like me, a certain name will be popping up right now. I don't want OCD neat. I want this. Remember, this has been handmade. You know, we're doing a replica of the actual Ghostbusters car, the Ecto-1. This is not made by machine. This is made by hand. So they've just shoved those wires in to get it working, and I think that that's absolutely perfect. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to pull these cable ties back down as much as I can. Now, in my opinion, I have seen these cut off with all sorts of things. Never ever ever cut them off with a knife. That's very dangerous. This is the absolute best tool you can use. Any pair of side cutters, like so, and that's all you have to do. Quick snip. You can use scissors. Scissors are good, whereas these are very good, but please guys, don't use a knife, because you've got very little control with a knife. So here's my cables. You see they're not too tight, there's plenty of movement, but they're nice and neat. There is this flappy bit here, but obviously that's going to go somewhere at a later stage. So I'm going to have it. That is actually the complete build. So I can see that in this particular pack, it's not going well, it is going somewhere. So obviously I've got this bend here. So I'm asking you guys, is there a solution for this? I'll probably have figured it out by the time this goes to air. But I'm just wondering, maybe could I clamp that? Maybe if I pop a cocktail stick in there and then I tape it, and then maybe just give it a warm blast, to 10-second blast with a hairdryer, will that then bend it, unbend it? But there is the latest issue. That's stage 51. That's the Sono channel ASA20 and switch panel. I am actually very happy with that. It did present a challenge for me right at the beginning, and I just walked away for a second. I thought about it and I got on with it. I thought I was going to be doing fast forward, you know, speeded up video, but as you can see, that's absolutely lovely. So The moral of the story here is if you have a problem, just stop, think about it, and then come back to it. Okay guys, I'll see you in stage 52 when we will be doing the cargo area floor. Take care guys, bye bye.